everyone, and welcome back to Faith and Flour. I'm Robin, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how I use this book, Cook Once, Eat All Week, to prepare 3 delicious, healthy meals for our family. This is more than just a cookbook. The author, Cassie Jo Garcia, shows you her method for batch cooking, which helps you prepare in about an hour to an hour and a half each week all of the ingredients that you will need to put together 3 very sizable and delicious meals. I'm going to be preparing all of the recipes in week 1. So the basic ingredients for this week are chicken, broccoli, and rice, and you'll see there's some additional ingredients as well. But the instructions are very easy to follow and all the ingredients are really easy to find. If after watching this video you decide you want a cookbook of your own, I will have a link for it in my description box. I'm going to start with fixing the chicken and the rice, and I'm going to use my Instant Pots to do this. I have a mini Instant Pot where I'm going to prepare the rice, because if you haven't prepared rice in an Instant Pot, you're really missing out. And I'm going to use my larger one for the chicken, but if you don't have Instant Pots, it's not a problem. She actually gives you some instructions for doing it on the stovetop or even in a slow cooker. The chicken and the rice are the only 2 ingredients that you're going to actually be cooking on this meal prep or batch cooking day. So whatever cooking method you choose for your chicken and your rice, you're going to be free while they're cooking to prepare all of the other ingredients. I think it's okay to take a few shortcuts here and there. For instance, with the crumbled bacon, instead of cooking it myself, I decided to take a shortcut and get the pre-prepared ones. With that out of the way, I'm going to start prepping all of the produce. I've got some cilantro, so I'm going to put that in my salad spinner, give it a good rinse, spin it dry, and then put it away in a plastic bag lined with a paper towel to absorb the moisture, and that will be ready to go. I'm going to prepare the broccoli in 2 different ways. I'm going to cut some of it into broccoli florets to be used in the chicken and broccoli fried rice. The rest I'm going to process in my food processor to be used in the barbecue chicken and rice casserole. I'm going to add just a little bit of vinegar to the water that I'm letting my broccoli soak in inside of my salad spinner. I'll let it sit there for just a little while, then I'll give it a good rinse and spin before I package everything away according to her instructions. The rice is ready, and because I'm using it for 2 of the meals this week, I'm going to put them in 2 separate containers. I decided to use mason jars for almost all of the meal prep this week to store everything, and for the most part it worked out. I would say with the rice, I would probably put it in a different type of container just because I had to pack it rather tightly, and therefore it was a little more difficult to get out later on. But for the most part, this really worked, and the best part is it takes up very little room in your refrigerator when you have everything in the mason jars. I decided to go with the mason jars because I already have lots of them on hand, along with these plastic lids that you'll see me using. If you guys are looking for those, I'll have them in my Amazon store, and the link for that is in the description box. The lids are great because I could use a wet erase marker to label them. So I've got one container that I'm going to use for the casserole and the other one for the fried rice. The The chicken was done pretty quickly in the Instant Pot, and while it's still warm, I'm going to put it in my KitchenAid stand mixer to shred it. All of the recipes this week use shredded chicken. A few of you guys have given me this tip and it works great. The shredded chicken is going in all 3 of the recipes this week, so I portioned it out according to her instructions, filled 3 mason jars, and labeled them according to the recipe that they will go in, so that on the night that I'm preparing that meal, I will know exactly which one to grab. Chicken breast, in my experience, can get rather dry when it's shredded like this, especially if you're going to store it for a few days. So I took the leftover broth that was in the Instant Pot and poured some into each of the jars, and it did a great job of keeping the chicken moist until I was ready to use it. And actually, when I went to use the chicken for each recipe, it had reabsorbed all of that liquid and there wasn't even any left to drain, so I'm glad that I took that extra step. The broccoli was soaking while I was preparing the chicken, so after I drained it and rinsed it, I packed 1 jar with florets to be used with the fried rice, and the rest I put in the food processor to go into the casserole. The casserole recipe calls for quite a bit of broccoli, so I divided it into 2 batches. I also tossed in the stems so as not to waste any of it, and then I just pulsed it so that I would wind up with sort of a broccoli rice consistency as opposed to a broccoli paste. I don't know if you're like me, but I tend not to use my food processor very often because it seems like a lot of work to clean it. But on a food prep day like this, you can really maximize it because all I had to do was rinse it out after I processed the broccoli. Then I could remove the blade and add in the shredding attachment so that I could process the carrots. And I only have to wind up washing it once at the end of it all. If you have one, definitely use it because it speeds up the prep time incredibly. As a matter of fact, I decided to go ahead and process a cauliflower that I was planning for a different meal this week because why not? I already had it out and ready to go, and that was done in no time also. These glass containers are my favorite for food storage, and if I decide to continue with batch cooking, I'm going to invest in more. If you guys are in the market for some, I have them in my Amazon store, and you can find the link for that in the description box. After chopping up these green onions and storing them also in mason jars, I have a yellow onion to dice, and then I'm just going to prepare the garlic and the ginger, and that is it. I am just mincing the garlic by putting it in a garlic press. I don't even remove the skins, and this works with most garlic presses that are like this. And you'll see me sort of scraping the garlic off with a knife into the jar. And this is the easiest way that I have found to mince garlic. These black lids that I'm using are leak-proof lids from Ball, and I have those in my Amazon store too. The reason why I'm using them for the garlic and the ginger is because they are more airtight, they keep the smells in. So when I want to store something like garlic in the refrigerator for several days, the smell will not permeate throughout all of the other things I'm storing in there. I always keep ginger in my freezer. When I bring it home from the grocery store, I peel it, I put it in a mason jar, and then just store it in the freezer. It keeps for a very long time, and whenever I need it, I can just grate as much as I want and put the rest away. I think it actually grates better when it's frozen as well. And there you have it. Everything is prepped and ready to store in the refrigerator for a very quick and easy weeknight meal. Everything is very clearly labeled, so when I go to prepare a recipe, I'll know exactly which ingredients to grab. And the ones that aren't labeled, like the carrots, are only going to be used in one recipe, so that will be obvious to me when I need it. And I can't tell you how good and how satisfying it is to see my refrigerator all stocked with these ingredients. The first recipe I chose to make was the white chicken chili. This was so easy. It says that it should take about 5 minutes of prep and about 15 minutes of cook time, and I would say that's very accurate. You just start off by sauteing your onions in a little bit of oil. You add the garlic and then the green chilies. To this, you will add the shredded chicken that you prepared along with the spices and seasonings. You will add some chicken broth, white beans, and corn. You cover it and let it simmer for 10 minutes. Ten minutes is plenty of time to do any cleanup, so I had a few jars to load up into the dishwasher and some utensils to wash, and that was pretty much it. It definitely makes all of the cleanup that you did on prep day worthwhile, because you not only have a quick prep time, you have a very quick cleanup time. At the end of the cook time, you add sour cream, bacon bits, and lime juice, and this recipe was my favorite of the 3 nights. I absolutely loved it, and it was a huge hit with my family too. The recipe suggests that you serve it with another dollop of sour cream, some avocado, and fresh cilantro, and I definitely wouldn't skip that. It adds such a delicious layer of flavor. Another thing that scored big points with me was the volume that these recipes made. We have 4 adults, so 3 of them are men with big appetites, and we had 8 cups. This is an 8-cup container left over, so that was plenty for lunch, or you could serve it for another dinner. On the second night, we tried the barbecue chicken and rice casserole. This recipe appears to take longer. It's 5 minutes for the prep, and the cook time in the oven is 35 minutes, but 35 minutes in the oven is time that you could use to spend doing anything. So 5 minutes basically is your prep, and I think that is super quick. The broccoli needs about 3 to 4 minutes to cook on the stovetop, so I seasoned it with some salt, and while it was simmering, I mixed together the chicken and the barbecue sauce. There are some extra recipes in the back of the cookbook, and that's where I found the recipe for this barbecue sauce. While it was good, I think next go round I would probably substitute in either my own recipe for barbecue sauce or one of our family's favorite store-bought brands. When the broccoli is finished, you can stir in the rice and the rest of the seasoning, and then you just layer this on the bottom of a casserole dish. She called for an 8x8 casserole dish, and it was almost overflowing, so I might also switch to a slightly larger one, although this did work. And on top of that, you layer the barbecue chicken combination and sprinkle with some bacon bits. While it baked in the oven for 35 minutes, I had more than enough time to tackle the dishes. I just had the mason jars, which went right into the dishwasher. I had a couple of utensils and 1 pot to wash, which took almost no time. And then I sliced up a cucumber and made a quick salad with some of this Brianna's vinaigrette dressing. This casserole really is a complete 1-dish meal with the broccoli, the rice, and the chicken, but I wanted to have this on the side. I served it topped with some of the green onions, and that was it. This was a huge hit with the boys. They loved this one a lot. Patrick and I liked it, but I have to say I think that broccoli rice layer could use just a little bit more seasoning, so I might play around with that next time, but it got a thumbs up from everyone, so that was a hit in my mind. Again, we had enough leftovers for the 4 of us to have lunch the following day. Peyton takes his along with him, so that's why I'm packing it in a separate glass container. I think that this would be wonderful for a large family, or it will definitely feed a family of 4 for 2 meals. The final recipe is the chicken and broccoli fried rice. I love to make a stir fry, and what's great about this is that when you are stir frying, it's best to have everything prepped and ready to go because it moves really fast. The prep time for this recipe is 5 minutes and the cook time 15. The prep is really just scrambling an egg. Once that's finished, you move it to a separate plate, and then you will just basically add layer upon layer to your stir fry with the ingredients that you've already prepared. Topped with some green onions and fresh cilantro, this was delicious. I loved it, my family loved it, and I think we were all amazed that with just chicken, rice, and broccoli, we could make 3 such different meals. Overall, this was a really positive experience. I liked the batch cooking and the ease of prep on the nights when I made the recipes, and my family responded so well that I am very interested in trying several of the weeks. So if you are interested, let me know in the comment section. And if you like this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I want to invite you to subscribe. It's easy, it's free, and if you activate the bell icon, you'll get a notification every time I upload a new video, and you won't miss out on anything. Thank you guys for spending your time with me today. I look forward to seeing you in the comments and in the next video. Have a wonderful week.